Oh my God.
Hello, and welcome to episode 2 of
Oh my God. You sound like a therapist and like offering,
Hello.
hello, and
Welcome to
welcome
episode
to
2.
your mental fuckery. Here we're going to unwind your brain and talk about some of the most useless shit that you could possibly imagine.
Exactly. Unload your baggage. Welcome to Anything of Interest, episode 2, 24.2. The show where we talk about anything and everything that of interest, or at least that is
Yeah.
interesting to us.
Boy, has it been a busy week
It has.
of shenanigans.
It has.
It's Gen X Geezer here, which I love this name. It's a great name. It describes me perfectly. I'm
Yes, it
beginning to fill in on that role of geezer existence. I really feel like it's there for a reason, and that's okay. I'm not going to be one of those get off my lawn geezers. I'm going to be kind of
feel
that
like you've been
cool.
practicing for that role your whole life. I feel like kind of both
Yeah,
of us.
I'm going to be that really cool geezer that's like sitting out in his like way too short Bermuda shorts, like out on the lawn. He's got his feet in the blow up pool with ice and ridiculously like horribly cheap beer. And he's got the foam hat on, and he's got the prodigious suntanned belly, and
Black
I'm
socks
on,
and
and I'm on my
sandals.
phone, like playing some cool game, on my phone, just being totally fucking weird. I'm a Gen X geezer, man. I'm okay with that.
Stereotypical role. Yeah, I think I'm gonna avoid the stereotypical.
Oh no, man, go stereo. It's full Dolby experience. You should do it.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. So anyway, thank you for. Wait, where did the music go? There we go. Let's see if we get anybody in chat yet following us.
Yeah, I doubt it. Brand new show or second episode. I doubt it. Well, anyways, so speaking of anything of interest, so I have it is both a, so I got to touch on one quick thing here.
Well, hold on. Let me preface this because we're still new and obviously nobody really knows us. So, right now we've got just a freeform format. All right, we don't have topics, and we did that on purpose.
Correct.
Because one of the things that we love is just the progression of conversation and one topic that leads to another one and the connection between all those.
This is true.
So, it may seem a little disjointed, but we've done this before, and
it's very disjointed, but it's fun
disjointed. But it's really kind of cool seeing where the conversation goes. So that's why Jason's going to just jump into it, and I have
it's old habit for me.
Yeah, I have no idea what he's talking about. He has no idea what I'm talking about. We're just going to see where things go, and that usually, that kind of open improv, if you will, usually ends up in the best discussions. We've tried it. We have another show. And we tried for a while, like this week we're talking about this. And there were some great conversations certain weeks, and there were some weeks where it was just like, we could have phoned the whole thing in remotely, which we do anyway, but you know what I mean. So anyway, having said that, Jason, what?
It's a little bit on the political front today. I mean, because we're 50 days.
I think there's a lot of that going around. Like, that's the only place my brain has been lately.
Yeah, so like we got 50 days to election, and it's very interesting watching the different echo chambers out there talk to each other, and then watching the national media talk to each other. What's that?
Did you see today's news?
Yeah, but I have some opinions on that because now I'm beginning to feel like there's some very suspicious activity around this.
Thank you.
And I'm wondering if I'm wondering if they looked at what was the real assassination attempt on Trump and said, wow, he got a pretty good boost from that attempt. And now I'm wondering, hey, they're just as capable. I mean, look, if Trump is going to stand on a stage in Arizona and call Haitian immigrants that are here legally, keep that in mind, they're here legally, savages who are raping and sodomizing young women in the city of Springfield, you can go, well, hold on. You can go to black and white outtakes of Hitler and read the translations, and they are verbatim, my friend. They are the same theatrics. There is no difference in the theatrics of what he is doing.
That is,
and he is and this is the part I don't understand how you can, like, if we did this, right? If we got up in a public venue and did what he did, we would be arrested for terrorist. No, we'd be arrested for terrorist threats.
Yeah.
He's inciting violence against a people who are here by following the rules.
So here's
there have been bomb threats. There's been physical violence threatened on people. The sheriff of Springfield has spoken out and said, please stop. The family of Nathaniel that was killed accidentally, pure accident, was not intentional, that was killed accidentally by a Haitian immigrant. The family had to come out and said, stop using my 11-year-old son's name to push your hate. It was an accident. It was not intentional. Everything that J.D. Vance and Trump are saying are outright lies. If someone like you or me were doing what they're doing, we'd be arrested for terrorist threats. You know that's true.
I know. I've 100%. I'm not arguing that at all.
How the fuck they're getting away with this is beyond me. How the fuck there's a segment of our society that thinks it's okay for them to do that and are actually encouraging and feeling great about themselves?
I have an opinion on why that is, and it's a very simple theory. But I'm going to hold that for 1 second, because in regards to the quote unquote assassination attempt today, my mind went to the exact same place. Like, first, a friend of mine, like we were actually out sailing on our yacht today, and he like picked up his phone and he said that, and I swear to God, my natural reaction was just to laugh. You know, that may make me an asshole, but I don't give a fuck, because a it seemed like a really like half-assed assassination attempt, and usually the nutbags that try to assassinate a government official, the one thing that they're not generally is stupid. They put some planning into it. Okay. B, it was like, you know, near the golf course that he was golfing at. Again, it seemed like a very half-assed attempt at an assassination. It
felt like a fake coordinated attempt.
That's exactly it. And my mind immediately went to, I would not put it past them one bit to have staged this in order to garner the sympathy again, like they did last time.
Oh yeah,
and
absolutely.
In and of itself, to your point, that in and of itself is just, it's fucking shameful that that's where my mind and yours and a lot of people are going.
Yeah.
And, you know,
to answer how often do the Secret Service actually miss?
Yeah, exactly.
Right? And the guy was easily apprehended, arrested?
Yeah, exactly.
And then there's very few mainstream media feeds on this. Like, it's just the vocalization of who he contacted.
Exactly.
Like, you know,
so the fuckery level on this is off the charts, and it sounds just the way everything about it sounds like something that they would perpetrate. It wouldn't surprise me a bit, and I really think.
Here's the Daily Beast.
Well, hold on.
Daily Beast. Oh yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
Let me just answer your question as to, just so I don't forget, you know, why we think this is okay. And I think that, so I mean, obviously our views, we don't have to answer to anybody on the show, and our views are very apparent. And I fucking hate the man. I've never hated anybody in my life before as much as him, who I've never met.
Right,
right. And I mean, I think he's an absolute piece of shit and a piece of garbage, and there is no redeeming quality about him, and I don't think anybody on this planet is better off for him being here. And of all the things that you can blame him for, the one thing that really his legacy, I mean, he's all about, you know, being remembered and shit. You know what his legacy is going to be? It's going to be that he's the man who irreparably stained the office of President of the United States for generations. He put a stain on that office, and, you know, all of the, like you said, all the echo chamber and all of the rhetoric and everything. I think that we have just reached the point, he lit whatever fuse, was ready to be lit. Okay. I'm not saying that he created all of the problems that we have, but he
The
certainly,
systemic problems that he took advantage of, basically.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I just think we're at the point now where we're on this drug, which is the most ridiculous, the most outlandish, the most fucking dumpster fire, train wreck shit. We're mainlining it every fucking day. We have been
Yeah.
for 8 years, and we can't
Yeah.
get away from it. Everybody, both sides, everybody. That's why I
It
think
definitely has that dopamine feel, right? That endorphin dopamine feel.
Yeah, any fucking sane country, on this globe would have kicked this shit out long ago. But you know what?
Would they? There's some countries out there that have reached their own levels of insanity.
Let's be honest. And I really think that it's not just in this country. He literally he changed the entire. He made it okay to be a fucking moron and acceptable.
Yeah.
More so than it's ever been. That's just my opinion. That's just my view on. To answer your question, why are we still giving him the time of day?
Well, I watched.
Read what you were going to read in the Daily Beast.
Yeah. So let me pull the Daily Beast back up.
So
the Daily Beast has a picture of Trump, doing the thing.
Yeah.
And it says Donald Trump wasted no time hitting up potential donors for Sunday, in the immediate aftermath of the second apparent assassination attempt against him in 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
Within a few hours, the former president sent out an alert from Trump email blast to potential donors saying, "There were gunshots in my vicinity, but before rumors start spiraling out of control, I wanted you to hear this first. I am safe and well. Nothing will slow me down." So before any investigation, before the mainstream media can pull it apart, and before the echo chambers can pull it apart, he has a neatly stylized email blast ready to go.
Yeah.
The guy's the best con artist this world has ever seen.
Absolutely.
He is the ultimate con artist. He's got most people his age.
This is, I'll put on my tinfoil hat. This is, and
by the way,
they fucking totally.
How I know this is crafted and bullshit? This happens right after he got the Iowa numbers. The Iowa numbers have him losing now, and that's been his strongest state. That state was locked, and that was so he is now losing states that he had locked.
Yeah, I know.
And as soon as that number came out, a mysterious assassination attempt. I mean, come on.
It totally
is. And this also proves another very important point. And I do apologize if I offend any former Secret Service people out there, but the people attending to his protection are not loyal to this country. They're loyal to Trump. It's the only explanation for them allowing this fraud to happen, because there's no way the Secret Service is going to allow another black eye on their reputation. And there's been a lot of noise coming from Keith F. Edwards, Luke Beasley, Midas Touch, and a lot of those that during the first assassination attempt, the reason why people were surprised that it almost succeeded is because they described that Trump handpicked his Secret Service detail, which means he only will pick people that are loyal to him, not his office. The office doesn't mean shit to this man. He only cares about personal loyalty to him. So you just, there's no doubt in my mind that not only was this a fabricated attempt, but he had an email ready to go, and the numbers in Iowa told him that he's going to lose. And he lost the debate with Kamala Harris. He needed a new infusion of excitement to prove all of his lies.
Yeah,
we call that fake fuckery. Absolute fake fuckery. Well, thank you for joining us. We will see you next Sunday.
This show, you know what? We should. I'm thinking we misnamed the show. It should be like Fuckery Incorporated or something.
I know, right?
Maybe that'll be the tagline, because that's a word that we like here, because it's rampant. Yeah, I mean, all of it, just the whole feel of it, everything you said and everything. It was almost like this quiet little blurb of news, in the corner on Sunday afternoon, which I'm sorry. If it's a legitimate attempt again on a president or a former president, it would be all over the fucking place.
Yeah. More importantly, it gives him another chance to rail at Biden. Like, he doesn't know how to beat Kamala. So if he gets opportunities to blame things on Biden, it gives him the traction that he needs to kind of like bring his. But here's the thing. The only people that care about this are the people that are already going to vote for him.
I know that.
So like, you now delegitimized the original attempt on you by this fuckery, right? Yeah. Now people are going to go, well, wait a minute. Did he plan the other one too? Because there were rumors that when the CIA guy or the Secret Service guy brought him down, he purposely had the Secret Service guy injure his ear. Because you remember how the assassin? I know that. Yeah. You remember how the assassin was wearing a Demolition Ranch T-shirt? Mm-hmm. Well, I actually watched them. They're pretty funny and they're interesting. I have a safe interest in firearms. I do too. I do too. I've watched them before. And I follow the rules and I do what a responsible gun owner does. But what's interesting,
we both live in states that have very, very tough restrictions.
Yeah, absolutely. And more importantly, a group
which is okay. I don't say that in a negative way. Just again,
so a group of friends.
Don't complain that I can't spray my freedom seeds everywhere I want to.
Right. So a group of influencers from YouTube, Kentucky Ballistics, and a couple others, I'm probably not remembering all their names, got together and recreated the shot. And these are hardcore. They're not necessarily hardcore right wingers, but they're conservatives. They're Second Amendment conservative types. And they couldn't recreate the incident. Like, they couldn't. Every time they tried to mimic the AR-15 shooting that close to his ear and his head gets damaged.
Exploded. Yeah.
There was damage done, even with a near miss. And so that had them all thinking at the end of the attempt, they're like, his ear didn't take damage. He did not. That happened after the fact. And it probably when he was pulled down and he injured his ear on either the podium or the stage. Yeah. And he probably told his Secret Service people, don't say shit about what I'm going to say. Just keep it to yourselves. And they're going to be loyal to him, right? Because they want to keep their jobs.
Yeah.
And by doing that, they're eroding what the Secret Service was designated for, and the leader of the Secret Service, the director, lost her job. She was, dragged across the coals because, there's nothing more exciting to a group of old men in Congress than to demean a woman. They love it. They love to do it. Thomas Hill, when during the Hill confirmation, Clarence Hill, when he was confirmed, and all these old white guys would not listen to this story of rape from this woman. Clarence Thomas should have never been put into the Supreme Court. That man is a travesty. And now we're hearing about not Alito, but the other guy, Robertson. He was secretly manipulating the Trump cases that SCOTUS was involved with. And I'm like,
well, I think I think it's him. He's trying to fast track the whole immunity thing.
No, that's already been done. Trump has immunity.
No, there's still.
No, that was done 2 months ago, a month and a half ago. Presidential immunity was already decided.
Okay. No, I know that, but I thought that there's still, on certain aspects or at certain levels, they're still trying to decide how much immunity.
No, they sent it back to the lower courts. They said presidential immunity is to be decided by the lower court, which is basically an affirmation of immunity, right? That's why. I'm mistaken. That's why Special Prosecutor Jack went back to pull out the potential immunity detail so that when he refiled after Cannon threw out the case on him, he then refiled absent the immunity detail so that he can, still be tried for, sharing secret, documents.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And I don't doubt for an instant that he kept those documents for the purpose of blackmailing our government. And now his latest thing is he's telling Speaker Johnson, hey, don't let them pass a budget for the government so that, we go into this election where I can say, look, they can't even keep the government open, blah, blah, blah. He's a bad dude. He's a bad man. He's a bad dude.
And the reason we're having this fucking conversation and discussing the potential that this was a manufactured event is because, like I said, I don't put literally nothing. I don't put anything past him or his orbit. I mean, they've proven, reap what you sow. I'm sorry, but fucking reap what you sow,
Yeah. And it's like, I mean, if you get the time, you seriously need to watch his Arizona rally. Even his own crowd during that really disgusting rant was quite muted. Like, I think they become.
I know I should. I really do, but it literally makes me physically.
This one in particular, I think, is important because there's clear markings of a very Hitler-like behavior in this particular rally. And I think the reason why the crowd wasn't nearly as wild as it normally is when he goes into these rants, people for a brief moment, for the briefest of moments, listening to his vitriol and listening to him describe incredibly detailed, heinous lies, probably had to take a moment to think about what he was saying.
No, I will.
The first time in like 8 years, they took that moment.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's still a healthy amount of cautiously inserted into my optimistic, but I'm feeling pretty good right now because he's fucking imploding. Nobody on his team knows what to do with him. The only people that get anywhere in his orbit are the ones that let him do what he wants to do, whether it's to his detriment or not. It's the ones that suck up to him, whether or not, they were on the outs at one point. All they have to do is go back to him and say, oh, you're great, I was wrong, and suck up to him, and they're immediately back in, because like you said, he is just the epitome of a narcissist.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm feeling pretty good because I know I am, but I think people are finally, other than his hardcore supporters, his base, which, like you said, they're never going to fucking change. They're never going to.
Well, no, and that's what's really sad because they're going to miss out on the remainder of their life because they're going to devote the remainder of their life just being hateful.
Well, then that's their fucking problem, honestly. I mean, but
they're gonna.
I'm so exhausted of this piece of shit. I'm so exhausted of the fact that he has the fucking stage, and it's like, it's like the old scenario of let's not give the terrorists what they want. Well, we've been giving him what he wants for 8 years, which is listening to his fucking fat mouth run off about anything and everything. And with complete immunity to say whatever the fuck he wants. That's what he wants. He wants to be in the spotlight, and we have just let him, and we continuously let him. And I've been thinking about this a lot since the debate, that just the fucking fact that he is still A, allowed to run for this office, and B, still has the amount of support that he does, and the numbers are what they are after all the fucking shit that he has done and said. It's disgusting. It makes me sick to my stomach that as a country, we're still wondering, can he actually win? That is, it's fucking horrific. I have no words for it anymore.
I got a brief insight into an interesting story that I was listening to on NPR on my way to work this morning.
Mm-hmm.
On Sundays in the morning, it's Latino USA is one of the shows.
Okay.
And it was a pretty insightful show about Latino and Latinx, Latina kind of view of Trump.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, it really opened my eyes to the fact that the majority of the country really doesn't focus on the election until the last 2 weeks before it happens.
Mm-hmm.
And she was interviewing this Latina who lives in San Diego, which is very expensive to live in. Mm-hmm. There's no qualms about that. Her argument for not supporting Democrats anymore, not even really an argument. That's the thing. She was using her memories of 2016 mm-hmm. with an uneducated perspective of where we are now. And what I mean by an uneducated perspective is that this woman simply said to herself and said in the interview that when Trump was president, things were not expensive. Right? So that's what we're contending with. This person isn't interested in the rhetoric, the echo chambers, or the vile things that he says. Her only comparison to where she is now and where she was 8 years ago, or technically 6 or 7 years ago, at the height of Trump's first term, was that things were cheaper then. Therefore, that must mean he's better at it than where we are now. And so it reminds me of just how dangerous uneducated voters are.
Yeah.
And that's why I think Trump simply has a slight chance now, is because Republicans simply vote Republican because they just always have. And they're trapped in their own lineage of accepting Republican fate and voting Republican.
There, I'm going to disagree with you a little bit. I don't think it is anymore on the Republican side. I don't think it's anymore a party thing where it's, I've always voted Republican, so I'm going to. I think it.
You'll never convince me otherwise.
I think it completely comes down to ignorance and stupidity. And you can be a stupid Democrat, you can be a stupid Republican. I don't think it is anymore. I personally don't think it's, I've always voted Republican, so I'm going to. I think the people that have half a brain in their head, like I said, are finally sick of his bullshit. And I think the people that still support him are just fucking stupid. I'm sorry. But there is no other possible explanation on why somebody can still support this man, other than, if you're suckling off of his teeth, in his direct orbit. I mean, that's obvious. It's just
speaking of suckling teeth.
But hold on.
Okay,
but any other person that supports him is either, unfortunately, ignorant, and when I say ignorant, I mean they haven't been educated correctly, and they don't have the capacity to find out what the facts are, or right. B, they're willfully ignorant and or stupid. Because
I think you left out
or you're just truly a piece of fucking shit human being, and you actually believe his shit.
I was going to say that was one group you left out. The other group you left out are the group that are so disenfranchised by the government, they see voting for Trump as a means of punishment on a system that has failed them through their whole lives.
Okay, well then I also classify you as a self-centered shithead, because again, if you don't have the foresight to see what that's actually going to do to us as a country, then you're a piece of shit and you're stupid.
Well,
I'm sorry.
According to JD Vance, the only people that matter have kids.
If you I'm not even touching that asshole. He's a fucking clown.
Oh, that guy. I mean, he gives Slick Willie a run for his money.
If you're disenfranchised with government, then don't vote.
So let's talk about the juicy news that dropped over the weekend, and then suddenly there's an assassination attempt.
Juicier than this?
Oh, fuck yeah, baby. So it turns out there's a viral...
Let me just caveat what I said before.
Okay.
Because I don't want our gigantic audience of 2 people to jump all over me. Right? This is not a Democrat-Republican thing for me. This is a
no. This is a horrible human being thing.
I don't begrudge anybody who is a true Republican. Okay, but if you
Oh,
buy,
I do. They fucked up and they should take their party back. So fuck them too.
no, but I'm not talking about what Trump has done. I'm talking about traditionally a true Republican. I don't begrudge anybody's Republican views from a traditional standpoint. Now, I don't feel like we've had a traditional Republican standpoint in this country since 2000 whatever.
Probably since Bush Jr.
Yeah.
And even then, I would say not since first term Bush Jr. Because once Cheney was, in office for as many years as he was allowed to, he pretty much ran the country, and he fucking ran it into the ground. So
yeah, I mean, like
especially our international credit.
I didn't support George Bush, but I never once felt like that man did not have the best interests of the country at heart, and that he didn't care about what was going on. You're right. Cheney was the one pulling strings, and I think I would agree with you. Since then, I would say that traditional definition of Republican views has not been here. Okay, but like I said, I just want to make it clear. I'm not like oh, if you're not a Democrat, you're a piece of shit. No,
yeah, I'll echo that by saying
the whole show talking about how the ultra progressive liberal left is as toxic as the shit on the right. But that's another show. And another night.
And I would say that I am a liberal progressive with a kind of centrist ideal.
Yeah.
And that's my national view. My local views, I'm incredibly conservative. I've, now that I am self-employed and my partner is a small business owner, it has very much changed my viewpoint on local politics versus state and national politics. Like, I'm not a big fan.
Last week, I don't think Chicago. Chicago needs a Republican mayor because the Democratic ones are not fucking working for this. Chicago runs on a certain level of, let's say, for lack of a better word, corruption. Okay, but a beneficent corruption.
Well,
that's
and I
Chicago,
think
and this is the way it works.
So the last thing I'll say on that, and then I want to talk about Laura Loomer and the obvious affair that she's having with Trump. Which, by the way, timing-wise, we'll talk about that too.
Okay.
So I think.
What time did we start the show tonight? I know we started a little late, so I'm not.
We've been going for about 33 minutes, so the timer's up in the corner, so you're good.
I'm not seeing the timer.
You don't see the timer? Oh, it's probably because you're not an account holder. I hold the account, so that's probably why it shows up for me.
Okay.
So anyways, I think Chicago is a microcosm of all of California. You have this very kind of like unique set of circumstances and situations that kind of overwhelm anybody who holds those offices, whether it's a governor of California or a mayor of Chicago. And, I would equate the density of Chicago and its immediate area and the overall density footprint of California present a lot of holistic challenges about how to run. Because essentially, if you're a governor of California, you're basically a president of a country. I mean, California is all intents and purposes a country. And we don't get to run ourselves like one because we're the state of a defunct country that's lost its ability to run itself. And I think
people have also equated being mayor of Chicago to being much more than just a big city mayor.
Right. Like almost like either the head of a large mafia family, right? Or the head of a large union mafia family. You know what I mean? But here we have a city like Detroit that was on the downs, the outs. They were bankrupt. They had no ability to grow. Everyone thought that the city was going to fall into complete decay and no longer be a city of interest. In 10 years, they've turned it completely around.
Yeah.
They've come out of bankruptcy. Their population has actually increased. They're attracting IT and bio firms and investment firms like crazy back into Detroit again. They've turned their infrastructure around. They've survived the leaded pipe situation and, repaired all of that. Do they still have blight? Do they still have challenges? Yes. But by now we were expecting a dead city, and they're not a dead city. And why people don't take a page from that book and go, you know what? Let's go look at what Detroit did. And let's figure out if there's parts of what they did that we can incorporate into what we need to do to be this long-lasting, survivable city, you know? Mm-hmm. And it's just baffling how there's so much evidence out there of good things going on. And then you begin to realize the media doesn't make money off of good things.
No.
The media makes money off of bad things. So I've only ever seen one or two very subtle blurbs about how Detroit turned themselves around. And I think one of them was on Vice, which is still a good publication, even though they went bankrupt. And then the other one, I think, was on one of the NPR weekend shows they caught on the radio. So, you know, it's just, I just wish that maybe the media would kind of take a moment and like do some good every now and then and talk about the good, because this constant mainstream media of bad is just kind of numbing everybody, because everything that's going on now was very evident in 2016 and 2020, and things have been ramped up to a level of viciousness that makes 2016 look, you know, mild.
It kind of goes back to my point of answering your question of people are it's a drug now. The bad news and the ridiculousness and the hyperbole, like, you know, it's like somebody taking your iPhone away. You literally physical response. It's the same thing. Could you imagine if we had 1 week of no bad news anywhere? People would be bored out of their mind. It would end up being like The Purge. People would go start, you know, murdering people just like for some excitement. Because
that is not to say we condone murder.
But you know what I'm saying?
A caveat there, just a quick call out. We do not condone that behavior.
The train wreck, you know, it's the train wreck effect. It literally has become a drug.
Yeah.
Anyway, talk about Laura Looney.
So over the weekend, there were continuing viral drops within the many kind of liberal echo chambers and a couple of the mainstream chambers.
No, they have a pill for that viral drop, so you can see
and lots and lots of conversations about the absence of Melania Trump and the sudden appearance of this Laura Loomer. I didn't know who she was. I'd never heard of her before.
Nobody did.
And I started to research who she is. Holy fuck, she makes Hitler look like a nice guy.
I was gonna say she's even
this chick is vile.
I know. And
now I'm wondering if he keeps her close to deflect from him. I can assure you, I'm quite fine. My friend over here, she's quite vile. You should take a look at her, not me. You know, and I'm just like, wow.
Is that Trump or is that what's his face from The Simpsons?
You know, I don't know. Although that, you know, Grandpa Simpson has been used in continuous memes to describe Trump's behavior, which is
I'm talking about Smithers.
Oh, Smithers?
Smithers, yeah.
Smithers is more of a kind of whiny northeastern kind of, you know, vibe.
So what's
I was attempting to do my best Trump, but my best Trump is sometimes between a Kenny Buckport and like a kind of James Cagney,
there was a little bit of Kennedy in there too.
Yeah. Which, hey, if your best buddy is RFK, there you go. Hey, your buddy's RFK. There you go. You never know, right? Maybe there's some Kennedy collusion now, you know? Oh my God. And then, of course, you have so you have the Laura Loomer thing drop. You have the Iowa numbers drop. The continuously getting hammered that he lost the debate all week long, right? And then he wakes up on the shitter to do his social tweets, right? And he writes in a tweet, "I hate Taylor Swift." in his social media platform that he uses.
I saw that
Truth Now or whatever the fuck that garbage platform is. By the way, that garbage platform is about to go broke.
I know that.
It's been sliding. The closer it gets to the sell-off where all the buyers can finally sell off and try to barely break even, most of them are all going to lose money when they sell off. I mean, it's got to be like $1 a share, $2 a share. Trump's going to watch $6 billion evaporate.
It'll be like trading places. Those are concentrated ownership.
What a shock. A company that hasn't turned a profit ever is not a good investment idea.
Well, there's been plenty of those that haven't succeeded, but
it's just like the sheeples. Sheeples are like,
I hate Taylor Swift. Check this box. If A, do you hate Taylor Swift or do you like me? Will you go to prom? Check box. Fucking infant toddler. God, I fucking hate him.
He is just the worst. I will go back to your original statement about how he's eroded the ideals of presidency.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll say this much. His short-lived career and his eventual absence will remind everybody to be ever vigilant. Just because we're the United States of America and we're the beacon of the free world, and we've proven that democracy is a project that should be continued and serviced upon, the arrival of Trump should at least allow this one particular benefit: to be ever vigilant. His arrival is proof that we are not immune as a society from an autocratic potential dictator. We are not immune to that.
I think you give the American population of America a little bit too much credit.
I'm not giving them any credit.
Because if that was the case, I feel like he would not fucking be running for president. He would not be allowed to. So like everything, it's the boiling frog conundrum, right?
Well,
if it happens slowly enough, nobody gives a fuck. Okay? Until there's like something like a 9/11, then all of a sudden everybody says, "Oh my God!"
And that takes us all the way back.
Trump so far is a boiling frog. What the fuck has he done? What can he possibly do to?
That goes back to the idea
of like, whoa. I mean,
I think you're giving Trump too much credit.
Something. The one truth that he's told in his entire fucking foray into this was when he said, I could stand in the middle of Fifth Avenue and shoot somebody in the head, and
no one would care.
Yeah, that's the only fucking truth that he has said since he started this whole debacle.
Here's the thing: Trump occurred during a particular period of time that fosters his particular message.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody was sick of the Clintons, and the idea of doing another 4 or 8 years with Hillary was more than people could stomach. On top of that, people were upset that no one was going towards Bernie, realizing that Bernie should have been given an equal opportunity that Hillary was getting, and that disenfranchised a lot of people.
Yeah.
Okay. Amidst that challenge, or amidst that environment, right? You have people that can't afford housing. You have people that can't afford food. You have people even before inflation, a good portion of this country was struggling to pay the bills. And, pre-COVID, struggling to pay the bills. Pre-Trump's election, money was gradually now becoming a challenge. And therefore, the other narrative that was going on was the beginning of systemic rise in price gouging, rental increases, not enough housing inventory. And then when we found ourselves in COVID, right, we saw poverty drop significantly because government giving out free money for everyone that needed it wasn't being spent. It was being saved because we were in the middle of a COVID. We were in the middle of a lockdown. There was no place to go. There was no place to spend money. So people either spent money on new homes, or as soon as 2022 came around, they spent all that money they saved during COVID to go out. And then that, of course, created inflation. And this inflation has turned, an already beginning crisis now into a diabolical kind of conflict between people that are clearly aware that there's price gouging going on. There's clear price gouging going on. And there's clear valuing profit over the value of a corporate identity. McDonald's didn't go out of their way to say, you know what? our shareholders are willing to take a hit this year. We're going to leave our prices the same. No, they raised their prices. Their sales dropped dramatically, and now they're having to lower prices again. Right? There is no moral compass within our current institutions that govern us. And as long as corporations are the ones that are leading the vanguard of leadership and expectation, you're going to have this strife continue until someone comes along and puts things back into a parity that we can all kind of live together again. But I will tell you this much. We are not immune to the idea of an autocratic leadership.
No one is.
I would say that Trump is merely version 1.0 of what you might get based on the trusted, self-styled, amazing documentary that I recommend everybody watch. It's a fabulous documentary called Idiocracy. It's perfect.
I knew exactly where you were going. Brought to you by
not even a mockumentary anymore.
No,
it's a documentary, in my opinion.
Fact. You know, the really shameful, sad thing is, so again, in simplest terms, I think you can break down the people that support him into two main groups. One are the ones that are not suffering financially, and those are the willful ignorance, okay?
Yeah.
Or the people, for whatever reason.
I would also call them willful profiteers.
Yeah,
they know that once he's in office, they're going to make a lot of money.
Whatever reason that willfulness is, whether it's profiteering or whether it's
ignorance,
a racist piece of shit.
Right.
Those people, there's nothing you can do about those people. They're going to be set in their ways. They're smart enough to know that they're willfully, going along with this.
Correct.
The other large portion are going back to the people that are too, and I don't mean this to sound as bad as it sounds, as harsh.
Oh, it's going to sound bad, so just spit it out.
People that are too ignorant to know better. Okay? Those are the people that his bullshit actually affects. It trickles down to them,
I think you give that too much credit. I think they simply are just too busy to look beyond the hyperbole of their lives. They're too busy earning a paycheck, feeding their families. They don't have time to worry about the details of Trump. They just know that Democrats aren't doing it for them. Therefore, they're ignorant of what Trump has done, and they simply want to vote something other than what's been.
I understand that. And the shame is that, again, these are the people that need somebody to tell them the way it actually is. And instead, he preys upon the very people that he ends up hurting. He uses them.
Well, absolutely. They've been really donating.
That's the sad thing. And again, to your point, the moral compass is so broken that we have nothing to put him in check like we're supposed to have. The motherfucker is still around. He's not in jail. And on top of all that, he's still running for the fucking president of the United States. It's the whole thing is a clusterfuck. Our government right now it's a giant clusterfuck, and it's shameful. It really is.
All right, everybody, we're coming up on the end of the show. Gen X Geezer here. You cannot find me in the social media space. You can find our show. Where can they find our show, Brian?
Go to, check out the YouTube page, anything of interest _BWJB. Or you can find us on Instagram or Threads. Both are anything.of.interest.
And with that, hey, everybody, stay safe, stay alive. And you know what? If you hear gunshots, duck.
And just try to be a good person. Don't be a dick.
Yeah. Don't be a douche.
Don't engage in fuckery.
Leave fuckery for Fridays.
Yes.
Good night, everybody.
All right. Bye.